Hello, all my devoted fans. Uh, this is my first video where I'm going to be talking with my real voice because I just recorded Orukai and I figured it would be good to have a normal video, a regular normal video where I just talk about movies because I like movies. So just tune out, slap your headphones on, have a sleep. I'm just going to talk to you about some films I like, and some directors, because I'm a pretentious art house freak. So let's get going. First off, you can see behind me here, Army of Darkness. Now, Sam Raimi, he knows what he was doing. I don't know why we needed Spider-Man rebooted, like 3 times in the last 10 years. Like, his Spider-Mans were great. Tobey Maguire, did a great job. I like those. But back to the subject material at hand. The Evil Dead. Great movie. I'll try to stop breathing into the microphone like that. Evil Dead. Great movie. So Evil Dead is a horror film that was made with all practical effects, I think in the 70s. And it was a huge success. I think it was a cult success at the time. Or maybe it was just a huge success. I'm not actually sure. But, man, that movie's great. It is hilarious, but in the best way, because it does everything you want it to do as, a scary horror movie, and it doesn't take itself seriously at all, because it is that. That's the whole idea of it, especially with how dated the effects are now. It works very well, and Bruce Campbell is just great in it. So, it's really, it pretty much kicked off the whole cabin in the woods, like spooky horror genre stuff. Man, if you like horror films at all, or even if you don't, you should watch Evil Dead. And then watch Evil Dead 2, because Evil Dead 2 they practically just remade the same movie with more budget, and it's better. It's a lot better, somehow. And then Army of Darkness is sort of like a spin-off sequel about Ash, the main character, after the end of Evil Dead 2/1. And it's great. Army of Darkness is fantastic. Same as, it's got that Sam Raimi charm. So it's very, very nice to watch. Now, you can also see Blade Runner up there. I understand, if you've ever tried to watch Blade Runner, you've thought, fuck, this is boring. I understand that. It's a very, very slow movie, especially the enhance scene. Can get a bit tedious, but I love it. I think the whole, I've got the book over there in the pile, the Android's Dream of Electric Sheep, that I read. Then I saw Blade Runner after that, and I think Blade Runner did a really, really good job of adapting the text material. I just think it's a great movie. I really like the whole, all the characters are great. Like the main bad guy, whoever Rutger Hauer plays. What's his name? I forget. But the main android guy, he's just so likable. Like, he probably should have. I don't know. Harrison Ford's really good in it, but I like the main android character more. I think he's more human, in an ironic way, and I think that's the whole twist that Ridley Scott was trying to put on it. But Blade Runner, if you've got a good attention span on you, it's very enjoyable. And the sequel that came out recently, Blade Runner 2049, I think is up there. It's up there with one of the best sequels ever made. It's very, very faithful to the original. And yeah, it's just beautiful. It's the same as the first one. It just looks beautiful, like visually. If you like cinematography, Blade Runner is, it's got a lot of very beautiful shots in it. They used miniatures, so it all looks like fantastic. There's that Blade Runner. Now, House. You can see up there, House is a 1970s. A lot of these movies are from 1970 or 1970s. I don't know. 1970 was such a good year for movies. I think it was 70. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's a psychedelic art house horror film made by Nobuyo Obayashi, I think. So I don't quite know the director's name, but it's something like that. And it's great. It's pretty kooky, but if you like sort of art house films at all, or you just like having movie nights, just get a bunch of mates over, sink a couple beers, and watch House, because it's really, really fun, especially with friends. It's great. There is one particular scene involving bananas that I won't spoil for you, but you should go and watch. It's very visually surreal, and there's a lot of Japanese schoolgirls screaming, but it compensates. It's got all the things you want in a psychedelic horror film. Now, what you can't quite see over there are I've got a poster, a Tarkovsky poster for Stalker. I know it's a fanboy poster to get, but I don't know. I think Stalker is really, really good. It's a film about there's this zone in Russia, and it's rumored to have a room where you go and you get your wishes granted. So it's been cordoned off by the Russian military, and this one man, a stalker, takes people to that room for money. And the film is just about, he takes two people there, and that's it. That's the story. The zone is a bit of a cooked place, so there's all kinds of weird stuff going on, and it's like, oh, you got to be careful and respect it and all that. And it's really, really interesting. I think it has some of the best monologues, like, out of any movie I've ever seen. The dialogue in it is just fantastic, and all the characters are really good. If you get turned off by subtitles, might not be for you, but I mean, it's very, very slow anyway, so if you're not into slow films, it's not going to be for you anyway. But yeah, it's very, very beautiful visually, and yeah, there's a few bits in it I still don't quite get that haven't clicked with me yet, but yeah, God, it's enjoyable. It's a great, great watch, especially that first time through, that first watch. It's very, very good. Really enjoyable. Yeah. I like Tarkovsky quite a lot. Like Solaris and Mirror are both really good. His other films, which, well, it doesn't bring us on to our next director, but David Lynch, he's a bit of a weird director too. But he brings the goods. That's the thing with David Lynch. He's a bit kooky, but man, he does some good films. So my favorite of his, I don't know if it's my favorite. He does a lot of good stuff. One of his really good films is Eraserhead. It's about a man getting married. It's about a man's anxiety around getting married, I guess. It's hard to say much more without spoiling it, but if you have fear of commitment or marriage or any kind of settling down, it is definitely the movie for you to watch. It's great. Visually, it's really, really impressive. The performances are great. Yeah, it's just top notch. It's really, really great. It's got some of the most convincing practical effects I've ever seen. Like, there's one, you know what I'm talking about when you watch it, but yeah, there's this thing in it that's just unbelievably real. It looks so real, but yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Otherwise, it just does such a good job between the soundtrack and the visuals and stuff of just making you feel like really unsettled the whole time. Um, it really really does what it sets out to do, and I think it's really concise and it's great. There's a bit in there that I don't really understand. That's the bit where the whole title is derived from, Eraserhead. But hey, give it a watch. See if you can figure out what it's meant to be, and let me know. Yeah. Oh, what else we got? Pink Flamingos. I won't get to that yet. More David Lynch. So David Lynch also does Twin Peaks. If you've ever seen the TV show, he does Twin Peaks, which is really really good. First season's really great. He does Mulholland Drive, which is, I think, his most famous one. Which again is sort of about this. It's sort of just about fears and uncertainty. And boy, is that film good. I was sort of confused when I was watching it because some of the characters seem really like cliched and over the top. And I was watching it and I was like, well, this is David Lynch, so surely this is intentional, right? And then it all pays off. And it's like, oh shit. And like the lead actress just does such a good job. She's so convincing. And I mean, you watch it and you see what I mean. It's just phenomenal. It's pretty much about a lesbian relationship between these two characters. Oh shit! Wait, kind of. It's about a woman with amnesia. Yeah. What else have we got? A really good film came out recently that's really sort of like unsettling and like slow and horror-like is Under the Skin. Scarlett Johansson. She plays sort of like an alien. She's meant to like abduct and sort of like, I guess, kill people or like absorb them or something, and like she sends them up to the alien spaceship or whatever. And that's like her job. It's an alien on Earth. And it's good. It's really good. Under the Skin sort of gives away what the movie's about a bit, but it's really good. Yeah, it's got like the soundtrack is probably one of the most unsettling things I've ever listened to. If you just do Under the Skin soundtrack, it's like, if you listen to that and don't get anxiety, you are an absolute rock of a human being, because that shit just like winds me up. The visuals in that are all super good. Stranger Things kind of ripped off one of its visual things, I think. Which, I mean, obviously, Stranger Things it didn't really rip it off. It was more just like a conglomerate of lots of things. I don't know if conglomerate's the word, but it's a combination of lots of things. So, you can't really be like, oh, Stranger Things ripped off E.T., Stranger Things ripped off Alien. It's just sort of, that was its style. That's what it did. Sort of that like era appreciation thing. And so Under the Skin has these really like these scenes where it's just, where she's abducting people, it's just black, and there's like a thin film of liquid that's just reflecting like this light, like they're walking around. It's just very, very eerie. It's very scary. It's scary in like a good traditional horror sense, not like bah, jump scare, you're startled. It's I don't know, it's really nice. It actually like leaves you sort of like, oh shit, and like thinking about it a bit. I think that's much more scary, at least when you're actually thinking about the material after, not just like, ah, But, they're all a bit of fun. There's other horror movies too. And hey, the power to you if you like them. There's no right or wrong in cinema. It's just good to have people watching films, God, other films that are good that, I guess, I'll speak quickly about Pink Flamingos, get my weird ones out of the way, and then we'll go to the classics, like Mad Max, Drive, all just the top of the line stuff. So Pink Flamingos is a film. It's about the filthiest people in the world, and it's not a documentary, but like in a weird way it kind of is. It's really, really good, but I would not recommend it to anyone. It's just cooked. It's about the filthiest people in the world, so it's meant to be like a very like shock, like confrontational film. And it is. But there are also parts in it that are just absolutely hilarious. like John Waters, the director, does a great job. He just really sets it all up super well. Like you can tell from his directing that he really, I don't know, like the film's about like, look at these people, like they're fucking crazy, right? But it's sort of like there's like an appreciation in that, sort of like a gratitude, like they're embracing it, and you can really feel that through the film, I think. And yeah, like I said, I wouldn't recommend it to anyone. And if you watch it, you'll know why, for obvious reasons. Like there's one scene with like a literal like blowjob, and it's like I was not expected for that. I was not ready for that. Not expecting it. It kind of just happened. I was like, oh, yep, and it goes on for like a good amount of time. It's like one take. The scene sort of transitions into it, and then they just do it, and then transition, like the scene keeps going. They go and do something else. It's all like one take. And it's like, God, I hope that was only like a one take shot. They didn't, the actors didn't have to just keep coming in and like doing their lines and then like blowing each other. And then like, yeah, it's pretty cooked. It's pretty cooked, man. But yeah, I don't know. I really enjoyed it. I think it's a very interesting watch. And it's great to see film that's unconventional, I think, because you can always go to, like, the new biggest budget movies or whatever, which I guess are pretty much just superhero movies at the moment. There's nothing wrong with that. Superhero movies are enjoyable. I like them too. And Infinity Wars was really good. But I do enjoy just the fact that really weird things are being made. I don't know, I got a soft spot for it. I really enjoy it. And so, on to not weird things. I already did sort of Blade Runner and Army of Darkness, and they're pretty like culturally normal movies. But you move on to the other classics. You got Mad Max, which is just like bonza. The first one's really good, but it's really slow. The second one is the best Mad Max, I think. Not Beyond Thunderdome. Beyond Thunderdome is trash. Okay. The first half an hour of Beyond Thunderdome is really good. And then after that, it's really bad. But Mad Max 2, God, I forget what it's called. What's the actual... Like, it's like Mad Max 2, like, something, is really good. The first one's really good too, but it's a lot slower. The second one's, like, the most Mad Maxy feeling movie. I think it's great. I love that whole world, where everyone's Australian and it's all cooked. Yeah, I really like it. And obviously, like, the sawn-off shotgun is just really, really cool. It's badass, man. Mad Max. Oh, and on that note, Fury Road, the new one, is, like, incredible. The same. It's, like, how every action movie should be. I think that's up there with the newest Blade Runner in terms of just, like, best sequels ever made. I know it's not really a sequel, but... Like, the new Blade Runner is more strictly a sequel than the new Mad Max is, because it's still Max is the character. It's just a different actor. But yeah, it's still really, really damn good. And, I never thought I'd say this. I like Tom Hardy in tons and tons of stuff. I think he's a great actor, like The Revenant. He's in, like, Peaky Blinders for a bit as, like, a Jew. He's really good in that. He's a good actor. I think he does all his roles really well, but I don't know why. I prefer Mel Gibson as Mad Max. I don't know. Maybe it's just like I was brought up with it, and that's like Mel Gibson is Mad Max. But I just think he had more charisma, and I know it's hard to say about the new one because the new one was about Furiosa. It wasn't actually about Max so much. He's just like a vehicle around which the world unfolds, and I guess all the Mad Maxes are kind of like that. Like, Max is a guy in the tales, but the movies aren't about Max, The first one is more so, but, George Miller moves away from that as he goes further on. But still, I do think Mel Gibson was a better Mad Max. I just think he was more cool. Speaking of cool, Ryan Gosling, fantastic. Lars and the Real Girl, Drive. Only God Forgives. I don't know. Only God Forgives is not very good. Um, but Ryan Gosling is good. I like him in a lot of stuff. He's a great actor. Drive was the movie I was going to talk about. That's really really cool. If you've ever played Hotline Miami, that game is inspired off Drive. It's just about a guy who is good at driving cars, and he gets involved with like a sort of drug rink thing, and shit goes down. And it's really really great visually. It's a Nicholas Winding Refn film. If you've ever heard of him, he did like Neon Demon. He's done Only God Forgives. He did Drive. His films are just visually like stunning. Always. And I think Drive is his best film, but they're all just like, if you want to look at something nice, go watch a Nicholas Winding Refn film. Whew. Yeah, they're just beautiful. And Neon Demon's a really good example of that. If you go and watch that, it's just like 100 minutes, 110, something like that, of just like visual splendor. It's just like great. It's got like Keanu Reeves in it, and he's like really really good. He's only in it for like a small bit, but that's a really really good movie. I think it doesn't like take itself too seriously, and it's just beautiful in that way. Otherwise, perfect movies, there are very few. RoboCop is one of them, and that's not a joke. That's not ironic. Everything RoboCop sets out to do, it does. Now RoboCop is hilarious. It's a great like satirization of American culture. It's just like dumb action. Not enough people getting thrown out of windows. That's one downside. But man, it's just just real good. Like if you just want to have fun, go and watch RoboCop. It's fantastic. And on that same train of like style of movies, there's a movie called Starship Troopers. It's about like humanity go and fight aliens who have launched a comet at Earth or whatever. And that's the same sort of thing. It's very satirical. And it's very very good. Starship Troopers is a great movie too. It's like an action film, and sort of like it's very stereo, like typical, but like it's a satire, so it's meant to be. That's sort of the whole thing. But yeah, I won't spoil any of it for you. I just say go watch it. It's good. Now, what other? I'm trying to think of cooked movies I've seen. None of these are good as recommendations because they're all like long and hard to get through. Like there's 8.5 by Fellini. All of Fellini stuff actually, but it's like watch it if you like those long kind of things. If you can make it through Stalker, you'll make it through 8.5. Yeah. Who else? There's no, I already talked about Tarkovsky, the other guy who does. Oh, I mean, yeah, obviously there's Kubrick. 2001, Clockwork Orange, like just Full Metal Jacket, Doctor Strangelove. It just The Shining just goes on. Like every one of his films is great. Well, not every one of his films, but I've only seen those 5, and I think all those 5 are rather good. I like 2001 the most, but I think they're all rather good. And Clockwork Orange is a close second because it's really enjoyable. There was one other director I was going to talk about. Oh, that's right. Jodorowsky. Jodorowsky. So he did Dune, which was bad, but I think that's sort of what he's well known for. I think I'm actually not sure what he's well known for, but Jodorowsky does a lot of really cool, like sort of samey, like art house type films. There's one called The Holy Mountain, which is I think his sort of biggest one, which is really sick. Again, it's an art house film, so it's pretty avant-garde, but it's really sick. I'd highly recommend it. God, what else? I think that's about it. I don't know. Yeah, that's about it. There's a lot of good films out there, I think. Yeah. Oh, one really good recent film that was straight to Netflix in my country um, was Annihilation, the Natalie Portman one, uh, which is like, it's good. It's like an original sci-fi idea. It's got Poe Dameron in it. Poe Dameron was also an Ex Machina. Isaac, someone Isaacs, is that his name? I don't know, I forget. Um, Actually, both the guys in Ex Machina are in Star Wars. Holy shit! Yeah, yeah. All right, yeah. But that's really cool. Ex Machina is good. Sort of like, oh, and that's another one. Her, the film Her, which is about a man falling in love with his computer. Ex Machina is about the Turing test. So you have a human interact with a computer. If they can't tell it's a computer, then it passes the Turing test. It's the test for like consciousness, I think, or something like that. Consciousness in computers. I'm a computer science student, so I should know that. But it's something, you know. I don't do my coursework. I watch movies. And so yeah, I think that's about it. Her and Her is a beautiful movie. Spike Jonze does a great job on it. Oh shit! All right, now Spike Jonze. So now there's a whole other thing. Spike Jonze wrote Being John Malkovich, which is, it's a weird like Charlie Kaufman film he did with Charlie Kaufman. Wait, no, he directed. Yeah, he directed Being John Malkovich, and Charlie Kaufman wrote Being John Malkovich, I think. Correct me on that. They did one or the other. Spike Jonze is great. Her is fantastic. It's just, everything's about it is great. It's super believable. It's just beautiful. It made me cry. I'm a big baby. I love that movie. It's great. Every time it gets me, it's just, Scarlett Johansson does such a good job on the voice and stuff. It's crazy to think that she does like these really, she's a really talented actress. She's like in the Avengers, which, I mean, there's nothing wrong with Avengers, but it's just a clear contrast, I think, from acting. Nah, I don't mind the Avengers movies. I rate them. They're fucking much better than the goddamn Nolan. Sorry, not Nolan. Zack Snyder DC ones. Man, the Batman films Nolan did are all really good. Yeah, the trilogy of those is really good. Yeah, so back to Charlie Kaufman. Spike Jonze, Her. He's worked with Charlie Kaufman before. I think he worked on him with Anomalisa too. Anomalisa. I don't know how to say it, but that's really good. That's a claymation film that, again, made me bawl like a little baby because I'm a big bitch, and it's a very beautiful movie. Okay, it's a very beautiful movie. Okay, you should go and watch it. Honestly, these recommendations, some of them might make you cry. Oh, that's the hope anyway, because they're lovely. I hope you cry. If you don't cry in Her, you don't have a soul. Same goes for Anomalisa. Actually, if you don't cry in Anomalisa, you don't have a soul, because, man, that movie destroys you. Rips your heart out and stamps on it. Man. Voice acting in that. The one guy is so good. Other than that, Charlie Kaufman does a bunch of other good films. He did, God, what's that one called where Nicolas Cage plays two people and he's actually good in it? Fuck, and that reminds me of Denis Villeneuve, so I'll bring him up in a sec. So Charlie Kaufman does Synecdoche, New York, which is a great film. It's a bit long, again, but it's really, really beautiful. It's about a man who puts on a play, and so people like it, so they give him a blank check, and they say, do what you want with it. So he just tries to put on a play that emulates life. It just gets bigger and bigger and goes out of control a bit. He worked on Being John Malkovich, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. I think he wrote that. I don't know if he directed it, but that's also a very beautiful movie. It's a romantic movie? Yeah, no, it definitely is. It's definitely a romantic movie. Jim Carrey's great in that. There's that one where Nicolas Cage plays... adaptation, where Nicolas Cage plays two people, and he's really good in it. And that brings me to Enemy, which is a Denis Villeneuve film, who did the newest Blade Runner. So he did a film called Enemy, where Jake Gyllenhaal plays himself and himself. He plays himself twice, but he's really good in that. Denis Villeneuve also did. It's just about a man who finds he has a doppelganger and tries to go and exchange lives with him because he thinks his doppelganger has a better life. It's the basic premise of Enemy. And it's great. And then he's also in, not Jake Gyllenhaal, sorry, Denis Villeneuve also directed Sicario, which has Emily Blunt in it. It's like about the cartel, people smuggling, which is pretty fucking depressing, but it's good. And then he wrote Arrival, which I haven't seen, but I've heard really good things about, which is about an alien ship that comes to Earth. So people, they're dealing with that. They're dealing with it, you know, they're dealing with it. They're dealing with it. They're dealing with it. They're dealing with it. Speaking of Jake Gyllenhaal, Nightcrawler's really good. It's about him. He plays like a sociopath, or psychopath. I don't know how you'd term that, but he's one of those people who gets footage for the news of like terrible events. He sells it to the news. It's just about his journey as he goes and does that. Jake Gyllenhaal's really good in it. It's like sort of a movie that if you gave that role to someone else, the movie could have been quite shit, but he did a really, really good job in it and just sort of like pulled the whole thing up. Not to say the rest of the movie's bad, it's just it's very much like a performance-based movie. And then obviously young Gyllenhaal in Donnie Darko, which is really good. Well, I mean, I haven't seen it in ages actually. I don't remember if it's any good, but I remember liking it as a kid when I was 17. I really liked it. Oh, yeah, 4 years ago when I was 17. But I really liked it. Yeah. Yep. Donnie Darko is cool. It's like a weirdo time travel movie. There's a movie called Primer, which is another weirdo time travel movie, but it's actually really time travel accurate, which is weird because usually when there's time travel in movies, it's just like, don't worry about it because you're not going to get it right. But like it in Primer actually makes sense, I think. Problem is we can't time travel, so we don't know if it's how it works. But it feels right. It doesn't feel like it, you know, breaks its own laws or anything, which is important, I think. Or I don't think it's important necessarily, but that's sort of a lot of what the movie's about, so I think it does a really good job. And then got Donnie Darko, time travel, Primer, time travel. There was one more movie. It wasn't Back to the Future, but I will mention Back to the Future. Watch Back to the Future. Watch Ghostbusters too. Yeah. Oh, and that's right. Michael Fassbender is in Shame, a movie called Shame, which I don't actually know who directed it. But guess what? It's good. It's about he's sort of like a sex addict, sex pervert kind of thing. It's just about him. Oh, and it actually has the girl who plays Ryan Gosling's waifu in Drive is Michael Fassbender's sister in Shame, I think. Which is a weird connection. She's sort of the girl with she's sort of got like blonde bowl cut type thing. I don't know, it's weird, but when you see her, you'll know who I'm talking about, and she's kind of just that girl in a lot of things. But she was fine in that, I think. I didn't notice anything bad, like, with her performance. Michael Fassbender is really good. But boy, if you hate depressing movies, you'll hate that one too, because fuck, it can fuck you up. But hey, it's a time and a place for every mood, so if you're ever looking for any kind of those feelings, hopefully there are quite a few good movies in here for you to check out. There are thousands of films I haven't mentioned, but I haven't seen 1,000 films, no way. Have I even been alive for that long? I don't know, I'll do the math. But there are lots of films I haven't mentioned, obviously, in this 33 minutes that I haven't got around to. But hopefully you check out one or two films that I've mentioned in here. If you like them, that's fantastic. Check them out, support the directors, because film is important, I think. I don't know if it's important. It's like a medium for art, I think, and I like films being made, so I hope the industry can keep going. All right, great. So great, that's it.